the season outlook, we have 2 new coaches, and the head coach is only as good as his assistant coaches are, no matter who you are and how talented you are. And we've got 2 new coaches here that we hired last spring. Dan Fodrocy is our offensive coordinator, and Dan's coaching the fullbacks and tight ends. And Dan came to us from Saginaw Valley. Dan was at North Dakota State after Pat and I were there, so he's connected in our network. Throughout my career at Central and Ferris, when I was recruiting, I would always run into coaches in the high school saying Dan had been in there, he was coming after me. So when you find a guy on the road that much, that means they're a worker. So we were really happy to get Dan here with us. And Dan is linked to Northern a little bit too, because he played for Randy Aubrey at Saginaw Valley. And you know, Randy was a great Wildcat back here in the 70s, and is still a very good friend of our programs. And then we hired Coach Perlis to coach the offensive line in April. And again, Pat's connected to me very tightly. We grew up together, our dads coached together, we went to Michigan State together, we coached at North Dakota State together, and he's also coached at a lot of big programs in the NFL, so we were fortunate to get Pat to work with our offensive line, so we feel really good about these 2 new hires, and they'll help us be a better football team, no doubt, and we're going to rely on that. We were better against the run game last year. The box is getting better. Our defensive line is looking like a college defensive line. Even though we're a little bit young, our skill set's better. We run better, we've got more explosiveness, we're more physical, we're trained better. So we're expecting the box to be that much better than it has been. The linebackers are all back. We've got 2 young ones that are going to be a little bit older that'll play for us again. So we should be better there. You know, even though we were better in the run game, we weren't as good in defending the pass as we needed to be. But you know, I feel like at the corners, which is where you got to start, when you talk about defending the pass, we're going to be better there. We've got Demarius back, and Demarius, we didn't have him available last year, and he had a very good spring, so he'll be back at one corner, and then Anthony Ladd is at another corner. We also get Nick Barnes back. Nick had a knee injury, I believe it was against Ferris, so he's rehabbed. And Nick's fun because he's a player you don't have to talk too much. He knows how to take care of his business, especially when he's coming off a rehab and an injury. And so he's a guy that I know he'll do it himself. I don't have to, you know, call him up all the time and manage him hard, because he takes care of that stuff himself. And so Nick will be back at corner also, and then Deontay Young will be back at corner also, and we have some younger guys that can come in there, and we'll see what they can do. So yeah, we got to be better at defending the pass. We got to limit explosive plays, and we got to make more plays against the pass. So you know, that's our next step in our progression as far as the defense goes. Okay. But I feel the box can be very disruptive, and we'll need that to happen. And you know, with Anthony and Demarius and Nick and Deontay at the corners. And then at safeties, you know, Troy is back. I think we'll move Schuwick to strong safety and get him ready there also. And then with Brady at free safety, and we've got some young players coming in that are going to have to play in there, like Antonio. We'll figure in at, you know, coming in there and at free safety or weak safety and seeing what he can do. And then Trevor Roberts is at weak safety. You know, Trevor unfortunately had to play corner last year. That's not his natural position to play. He just had to play there last year because of injuries at corner, and now we got him at weak safety, and we'll back him up with another incoming guy, and then and so, you know, you look at the 3 starting safeties projected going into camp. You got Troy, you got Brady, and you got Trevor. They've all got a lot of game experience, and so we'll continue to make strides with them, and push for the pass defense game to get better. Well, let me just touch briefly on it, and then Dan can talk about that. Yeah, we do have Ryan back. Obviously, we lost him last year, the 3rd play of the 1st game for the season. He's had a good spring. He still made a lot of progress in the spring even, so we expect him to be solid for us. We've also had to recruit 2 new quarterbacks over the summer, and we brought in Drake Davis in June out of Naperville Central, and we brought in Yale Van Dyne, who's originally from Kansas City, to come in and play quarterback for us. So we've been busy, recruiting still through the summer to shore that position up. And then we have Rad coming in as a true freshman. And so looking down, I don't have a crystal ball, but I really like the way those 4 players look. And when you put them in a room together, that the quarterback room will be that much better than it has been since we've been here. They're all good players, and they're great young men, and they'll be great ambassadors for Marquette and Northern.
I remember watching Ryan as a true freshman, and I remember we came up here, I think it must have been 2017, we came up here as true freshman year and almost beat us there at the end, made some good throws. And I wasn't watching his side of the ball last year, and I didn't even realize he wasn't playing, so it wasn't I noticed the team was not, didn't have him on the plan. But coming up here and get a chance to work with them, the biggest thing I wanted to see out of spring was how would he command the offense, how would he take leadership, the ability to make throws, the ability to use your feet. Those things, we are not even there yet where we really need to be focusing on that yet. But his ability, I thought, to command the offense, you saw it progressing. So getting a chance to work with him was really good. Him and JP in the spring, and then adding Rad and adding Drake and adding Yale, I think will only create competition. And the best team I was around in Saginaw Valley, we had a returning player, John Jennings, who got pushed by some guys, and it really made him better, and it just improved the entire room. So if we can create some competition in there, that'll be really a huge benefit for us. But excited about the way he kind of commanded the group in the spring, and he's going to need to keep doing that, as all the guys will.
It happens to every program. Every program loses great players when they finish their eligibility and move on. And so you never can replace a guy like that, but you can reload. And so, DeAndre will step up and be a good player for us. DeAndre had to play as a true freshman. Looking back on it now, I wish I didn't have to play him, but I knew I'd be saying that anyway. And it is what it is. We were thin, and we had to play DeAndre as a true freshman, and we played him last year also as a true sophomore. So he'll step into the role. But we've got some good young backs. You've got you got Sebastian, who was a true freshman last year that we got to redshirt, and he showed a lot of promise in the spring. And so we'll be counting on Sebastian being a good tailback for us. We got Nate Ashford, who was another redshirt freshman last year from Chicago, and Nate has promise too. And so we'll count on those guys to get in there and play. We've got some nice freshmen coming in. You got Tyshawn King. You've got Taekwon Cox coming in, and I hope we don't have to play them, but they're awful gifted, and so there's a stable of backs coming through, and it's just about developing them. Sebastian and Nate, so they'll have 4 years left to play, and then bringing the brand new guys in, and see, okay, make that judgment. Are they good enough to burn their red shirt? And I hope we don't have to, but I don't know yet. We'll find out. They're both very talented, and so we feel good about the number of backs we have in there. Now it's just a matter of getting the development in and getting the practice and getting them ready.
No, we just feel real good up front as the offensive line coach. I know our offensive linemen really feel good about the running backs. I mean, everywhere I've been, the thing the offensive linemen care about most is what's for dinner and how's our running back. So they're very confident, and they feel like whoever has a chance to carry the ball, that they're going to make us look good as linemen. We don't have to hold on to our blocks as long when you got people behind you who are skilled. So as a whole, as a group, I think they're pretty confident. A lot of things will remain similar in the run game from the year before, so there's a lot of carryover. I think we feel good as a group with our starters. Of course, they got a long ways to go, and every position's up for grabs. But we do have some pretty skilled starters. Biggest thing I think coming out of this camp will be develop a second center and a third tackle, someone that could be a swing tackle if need be. So there's some depth that we really have to find out. We don't know who those guys are yet. And at the same point, there's some starting positions up for grabs. So we're looking forward to a lot of competition.
We'll learn more through camp. We've got some nice returning starting linemen. Peyton Mojo right from here in Marquette. And, you know, for Peyton being here and developing and having a great spring, I always think of one guy, and about every 2 days I thank God for bringing him into the world, is Dan Flynn. And Dan came to Northern from Chicago back when he played in here and stayed in the area and coached, and you know, is a legendary coach in the UP, whether he was at Northern and Escanaba. But Dan is, you know, his calling in his life is to help young people that are underprivileged. And when we first got here, you know, he and Peyton had a good relationship, and he brought Peyton into the office and said, I got a guy that needs to play football. And we've got a young, promising offensive tackle in Peyton. You know, we need more people like Dan Flynn. And so those kind of stories are, you know, they're special. You know what I mean? So Peyton's going to be a good football player for us. Does he got a lot of does he have a ways to go? Yeah, but don't we all? And Gabe Bauman's back at guard for us. He's been playing for us. Jay Young's back at center. You know, and guys like Derek Crane and Trevor Hiller and Blake Whitcomb and those kind of guys, they got to come around and show up and play for us. So, you know, the offensive line, we feel good about, like Pat said, and we'll get ready to work with them when they get in here. You know, at H, we got Benny Lucis is back. Benny played last year as a second-year freshman, very talented player. We look for him to do special things for us. We got Ryan Johnson back. At quarterback, obviously, we talked about him. Brian Knight's back for us, you know, as a returning starter. We've moved Luttrell out of quarterback back to receiver, which is where we originally recruited him for. And so, you know, he's got to come through and do some stuff for us. Rayvon Johnson has played a lot of football for us, and he'll have to help us at wideout too. The tight ends and the people like that, you know, we've got Brunius back, and he's only going to get better. He still has 3 years to play for us. Mitch Heaton is another guy that's got to step up and do good things for us also. So there's players here, and I'm sure there'll be some young ones that catch our eye and we'll move forward with. But I mean, we are still our skill set's better, our athleticism is better. We're still young with the guys that we've got, so those guys are going to catch our eye and show up throughout camp. And then the new people we've brought in over, I think we're like at 42 new players coming to the program, and so we'll work through it, and people, I'm sure, will catch our eye. So that's to develop and get better. Everybody is going to have that chance, and then you find the new guys, and when they get in here, you know, you got to teach them a stance, because when they come to you from high school, there's things that they got to be taught, and that's what camp's all about. What are you going to do with the program, Coach? We're going to go back to the fundamentals. We're going to go back to good stance. We're going to go back to tackling, blocking, running the ball, ball control, you know, playing good defense, playing the ball in the air, pass defense, all the fundamentals. We go right back to them, and we've got to improve on them. And so, you know, our theme that we started last spring is it's go time. You know, okay, in a roundabout way, what does that mean? Find something better every day to get better at, no matter where you are and what you're doing. You know, and so that's how our team is got to think, and that's our motto. And so every time we get back here for practice and get the team back into the 11th, we'll work on things every day.
Been pretty impressive. So again, who's going to step up? I think he touched on it perfectly. But for me, it's been great, because I had some familiarity with them, and they really exceeded my expectations of what kind of kids they are, what kind of competitors they are. I think they're in a really good position to see them take off, and so those answers will definitely be given here in a short amount of time. So I think they're ready.
Well, it's just an exciting time of the year. I don't know if I can speak for all the coaches, but for myself, I always like camp. It's all football. You're not doing a lot of film breakdowns. You're with the kids most of the day. You're teaching the fundamentals, techniques, and those are the things as a coach you really enjoy, because you're involved so much with, as Coach Nystrom said, from the beginning: stance, starts, fundamentals, technique, hand placement, all those things that you teach from the beginning, whether you're a third grade football player, middle school, whatever. We're going to start at least up front with that mindset. And again, good news for us is that there's not a lot of changes from from the past year. As I wasn't here, but not a lot of changes, so we can kind of build on what these guys already know.
What's the conference outlook?
Yep.
I don't know. I'm thinking about playing McHenry. That's all I worry about. I wasn't real happy with that game last year, and, you know, the good Lord's given us another chance to do better. And so, yeah, but in a roundabout way, I'm sure the conference, you know, you'll have the three people that are usually at the top, you know, gotten a lot of press and play that way, and that's deservedly so. And then the rest of us all fight to see who can go and do something special. But, you know, when I was at Michigan State and Coach Perlis was the head coach, Pat's dad, you know, paper's paper. You play the game, and they all count one. And paper doesn't win games. Football teams win games with good football players. So I don't really care about the predictions with what conference is going to get picked. What I care about is being a real good football team and playing the first game against McHenry.